I never thought family could hurt this much. But that's exactly where my story begins. Right in the middle of a house I thought was full of love, only to find it filled with secrets I wasn't ready for. My name is Emily, and I always believed that sisters were supposed to have each other's backs. But the moment I realized the truth about my older sister, everything changed. It started with the little things. Small betrayals at first, the kind you almost ignore because you don't want to believe someone so close could really be selfish. She would borrow my clothes and forget to return them, or subtly take credit for my ideas when Mom complimented me. At first, I laughed it off, telling myself it didn't matter. But the deeper I got into my own life, the more I noticed the patterns, and the more they stung. The thing about my sister is, she wasn't just jealous. She had this way of twisting situations to her advantage. A smile that made people trust her, a laugh that made everyone around her feel at ease. But behind that smile, a kind of cold calculation I couldn't put into words. And yet, I never suspected just how far she'd go. Then came the day everything started to unravel. I was just sitting in my room, going through some old photos, when I noticed something odd. Something that didn't make sense. And suddenly, a sinking feeling hit me, like someone had taken the floor out from under me. She had always been competitive, sure, but this was different. She wasn't just competing with me. She was trying to erase me entirely. But as terrifying as that realization was, it wasn't the worst part. The worst part came when I saw my younger sister, the one I always thought was quiet, shy, and easy to overlook, standing there in a way I'd never noticed before. There was this confidence in her eyes, this quiet defiance, and for a second, I realized she had been watching it all, watching me struggle, watching our older sister take more than her fair share. And somehow, she had been planning to do something about it. I couldn't understand it at first. How could my younger sister, the one who barely spoke up for herself, see what I couldn't? How could she have the courage to step in when I had felt powerless for so long? I felt a strange mix of fear, hope, and curiosity all at once. Because in that moment, I realized that the real story wasn't just about my sister who tried to take everything. It was about the sister who had the power to give me more than I ever imagined. I had no idea what would happen next. I didn't know if it would destroy us all, or if it would finally give me the chance to reclaim what I'd lost. But one thing was certain, nothing in my life would ever be the same again. And the moment my younger sister made her first move, I realized I was about to witness something I could never have predicted. Looking back, I can see now how the cracks were there all along, even if I didn't notice them at first. My older sister, Vanessa, was always the golden child, the one everyone praised. Smart, charming, confident. People admired her, and honestly, I think that fed her in a way that made her almost untouchable. I, on the other hand, had always been the careful one, the observer. I studied everyone's patterns, their little habits, hoping that would somehow protect me from disappointment. But Vanessa had this way of slipping past my defenses, leaving me frustrated, exhausted, and often overlooked. Then there was Lily, my younger sister, the quiet shadow in the background. She was only 15 at the time, while Vanessa and I were in our early 20s. People assumed she was fragile, shy, or too timid to stand up for herself. But Lily had this keen sense about her, this intuition that sometimes scared me. She watched more than anyone else, absorbing everything like a sponge. She never interfered, never made a scene, but I started noticing her little interventions, the way she'd subtly ease a tense situation, or protect me without me even realizing it. I didn't understand it then, but maybe she was preparing for something. Our family dynamic was complicated. Mom always favored Vanessa without meaning to. I think she saw pieces of herself in Vanessa, ambitious, assertive, fearless. And that left me feeling invisible, walking on eggshells, constantly trying to prove my worth in small ways. But Vanessa, she seemed to thrive on that imbalance. She loved the power she held in the quiet control of our house. It all reached a tipping point the day Mom asked me to organize a small gathering at our home. I was excited at first. Finally, a chance to take the lead on something. But as I started planning, I noticed Vanessa lurking in the corners, offering help in her usual sly way, claiming credit for suggestions that were clearly mine. It was subtle, almost polite, but I felt that familiar sting, the creeping sense that she was erasing me, piece by piece. And then there was the moment I saw her glance at Lily. Just a flicker, really, but it sent a shiver down my spine. It was the kind of look that said, I know what I'm doing, and you can't stop me. And that was when I realized that things weren't just about me anymore. Whatever Vanessa was planning, it had layers I couldn't yet understand. Layers that somehow involved my youngest sister in ways I hadn't imagined. I tried to tell myself it was nothing, that family drama was normal, that Vanessa had always been like this. But deep down, I knew something was coming. Something that could upend everything we thought we knew about loyalty, trust, and love. I could feel it in the air, a tension that pulsed beneath the surface, like electricity ready to spark. And as I watched Lily quietly observing, I began to wonder, was she just watching, or was she quietly preparing to change the game entirely? The answer was out there, somewhere. And I had a feeling that when it finally came, nothing would ever be the same. The tension in our house grew like a storm you could feel in your bones. Every conversation felt like walking on a tightrope. Vanessa had a way of turning the smallest things into power plays, and I could feel myself shrinking under the weight of it. It wasn't just about jealousy anymore. It was about control. She wanted to take everything I had, everything I'd worked for, and I wasn't sure if I could stop her. I tried to talk to Mom, but she was blind to it, wrapped up in Vanessa's charm and achievements. She's just ambitious, Emily, Mom would say, waving away my concerns. But I could see the tension in Mom's shoulders, the way she hesitated whenever Vanessa was around, and I realized even she didn't fully understand what was happening. And then came the moments that shook me to the core. Little things, Vanessa accidentally spilling coffee on my laptop, misplacing important papers, subtly planting doubts in Mom's mind about my decisions. Each incident alone could be written off as a mistake, but together, it felt like a calculated siege. I was trapped in a maze I didn't know the exit to, and every turn brought a new form of manipulation. Through it all, Lily stayed quiet, watching. I could feel her eyes on me, sharp and calculating, but she never intervened openly. It made me anxious. What was she thinking? Was she scared of Vanessa too, or was she waiting for something? That uncertainty gnawed at me. I wanted to ask her to help, to tell me what she knew, but there was a steel in her gaze that said, not yet. One evening, after another subtle attack from Vanessa, I found myself cornered in the living room. She was smiling, perfectly poised, and for a moment I wondered if she even knew what she'd done. Then I caught the way she glanced at Lily, that almost imperceptible smirk, and my stomach dropped. There was a plan here, and it involved more than just me. And that was when I realized something terrifying. I wasn't the only one caught in this game. Someone else, my younger sister, was moving in ways I couldn't predict, quietly shifting pieces while I was busy defending myself. I had no idea if she would help me, or if she had her own agenda entirely. The air felt heavier that night, thick with unspoken intentions and secrets that hung between us like shadows. I sat alone, heart racing, wondering how far Vanessa would go, and what Lily was planning in silence. The answers were out there, just beyond my reach, and I had a sinking feeling that when the truth finally came, it wouldn't just hurt. It could change everything forever. Days passed, but the tension never eased. Every corner of our house seemed to hold secrets. Every word exchanged carried double meanings. I began noticing the smallest details. Vanessa's lingering glances, the way she positioned herself in conversations, even the subtle way she'd adjust the lighting in the room to draw attention away from me. It was exhausting, like I was constantly on the edge of falling, and no one else seemed to notice the cliff beneath my feet. Lily, on the other hand, became an enigma I couldn't decipher. She no longer simply observed. She started slipping small notes, quiet warnings, little hints that only I could catch. At first, I didn't understand them. I wondered if I was imagining it, if stress was making me see patterns where there were none. But then the notes became clearer, almost urgent. Watch her. She's planning something. Trust no one but me. I felt torn between fear and relief. Part of me wanted to confront Vanessa, to finally stand up and claim my space. But every time I tried, she was 2 steps ahead. She seemed to anticipate my every move, smirking when I faltered. I realized I was trapped in a game I didn't fully understand, one that was slowly consuming me. Then came the night that changed everything. Vanessa had organized a small dinner with a few relatives, and the tension in the room was almost tangible. I tried to focus on the conversation, to keep my composure, But Vanessa had this way of cornering me with casual questions that made me reveal more than I intended. She smiled knowingly, and for a moment, I thought I might break down right there in front of everyone. Lily, surprisingly, was silent the entire evening. But I could feel her eyes, steady and unwavering, scanning the room, scanning Vanessa. And then, in the quiet of the night, she slipped me a note while I was washing dishes. Tonight. Be ready. My heart raced. Tonight? What did she mean? Was she planning to confront Vanessa herself, or was this a warning for me? The ambiguity only made my anxiety worse. As the night grew darker, I began to sense that everything was about to shift. The subtle manipulations, the hidden messages, the undercurrents of fear and tension, all of it was leading to something inevitable. I could feel it like electricity in the air, a charge so strong it made my skin prickle. I wanted to sleep, to escape the growing storm, but I couldn't. Something was coming, and I wasn't sure who would win. Vanessa with her cunning, or Lily with her quiet, unpredictable resolve. And as I sat alone in the dim light of my bedroom, a thought struck me. Whatever was about to happen wouldn't just settle the score between sisters, it would change our family forever. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew one thing with terrifying certainty. By the time the night ended, nothing would ever be the same. And just as I was about to discover the truth, the sound of a soft knock at my door made my heart stop. I froze as Lily stepped into the doorway, a shadow of determination in her eyes. But what she held in her hands made my blood run cold. It wasn't just a note this time. It was a folder, thick with photographs, receipts, even messages I hadn't seen. My hands trembled as I flipped it open, realizing with horror that Vanessa hadn't just been undermining me. She'd been systematically taking everything I owned, everything I valued, for months. But then Lily's voice cut through the tension, calm yet unshakable. She wasn't just trying to hurt you, she said. She was planning to leave you with nothing. But that's not all. Her words hit me like a punch. The folder revealed something I could never have imagined. Vanessa had been manipulating Mom, bribing friends, and even threatening people I trusted. Everything I thought I knew about our family, about who I could rely on, was a lie. And as I looked up at Lily, my heart pounding, she whispered something I wasn't ready for. I've been keeping secrets too, but they're the only things that can save us now. The room went silent, and in that silence, I realized the game had changed. This wasn't just about jealousy anymore. This was war, and I didn't know who would survive it. The night had reached a breaking point. Vanessa stood at the center of the living room, radiant and confident as ever, unaware that the balance of power had shifted completely. Lily and I exchanged a glance, one silent, loaded with understanding. We were ready. I stepped forward, my voice trembling but firm. Vanessa, it's over. Her laughter rang out, sharp and incredulous. Over? Emily, don't make me laugh. You think you can stop me now. But I wasn't alone. Lily moved with a quiet authority I'd never seen before, placing the folder in front of Mom and everyone else in the room. Every manipulated document, every stolen item, every secret betrayal, it all lay bare for the first time. Vanessa's confident smile faltered as she realized the extent of her exposure. You went through all this? She stammered, her composure cracking. Yes, Lily said softly. I watched, I waited, and I collected evidence. You were planning to take everything, but I knew I couldn't let that happen. Not to her. Not to this family. The room was tense, every eye fixed on Vanessa as she struggled to respond. I could see her panic, the cracks in her facade spreading rapidly. And for the first time, she wasn't in control. Then, just as I thought it was finally over, Vanessa pulled something out from her coat, a small, hidden envelope, and threw it onto the floor. You think you've won? This isn't the end. Her words sent a chill down my spine. The room went silent. I picked up the envelope, hands shaking, and realized it contained something that changed everything again. Letters, photos, and plans that none of us had anticipated. Vanessa's schemes went deeper than we ever imagined, reaching beyond our family, beyond anyone we knew. But for the first time, I felt a surge of courage. Whatever she had planned, Lily and I were no longer powerless. We had the truth, and together, we could face it. As Vanessa glared at us, a mixture of fury and fear, I understood that the final battle was just beginning. And in that moment, I knew one thing. Nothing would ever be the same again. and the secrets we uncovered would haunt us far longer than Vanessa ever could. In the days that followed, our house felt different, lighter, yet still carrying the weight of everything that had happened. Vanessa had retreated, stripped of her power and influence, leaving behind the mess of lies she had spun. Mom struggled at first, torn between grief for the betrayal and relief that the truth was finally out. But slowly, she began to understand that loyalty, honesty, and love weren't about appearances. They were about actions, courage, and standing up for each other. Lily and I spent hours talking, unraveling the tangled web of secrets and fears that had silently ruled our home for so long. I realized something important. She hadn't just saved me from Vanessa's schemes. She had given me a new perspective on family, strength, and trust. The little sister I had overlooked, the quiet shadow in the corner, was the one who showed me that power doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it whispers, watches, and waits for the perfect moment to act. Vanessa, of course, wasn't gone completely. She moved out of the house and eventually distanced herself from the family. But her presence lingered in memory, a reminder of how fragile trust can be and how easily ambition can blind someone to love. Yet, instead of bitterness, I felt clarity. I had learned to recognize manipulation, to trust my instincts, and most importantly, to value those who truly had my back. Life slowly returned to a semblance of normal. Lily and I worked together to rebuild what Vanessa had tried to take away. Not just possessions, but confidence, joy, and connection. We laughed again, celebrated small victories, and supported each other in ways I hadn't realized we were capable of. I felt a deep sense of gratitude. This ordeal had shown me the true meaning of sisterhood, in all its messy, complicated, and beautiful forms. And yet, the final lesson lingered. I had learned that family isn't defined by blood alone, but by the choices we make, the loyalty we keep, and the courage to stand up for one another, even when no one else does. Vanessa's shadow would always be part of our story, but it no longer dictated who we were. One evening, as Lily and I sat by the window, watching the sun set and painting the sky in gold and rose, I realized something I had never understood before. Strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it comes quietly, patiently, in ways that surprise you when you need it most. And for the first time in years, I felt safe, seen, and truly supported, not by the sister who tried to take everything, but by the one who gave me more than I ever had. In that moment, I knew the past could no longer haunt me. We had survived, we had learned, and we had grown. And though life would undoubtedly bring new challenges, I had discovered something far more valuable than anything Vanessa could ever steal: the unshakable bond of trust, love, and resilience between sisters.